Hi everyone. Today we're going to read something a little different. Today I'm going to read Her Name. After getting run over by a car, Mason gets interviewed by a mysterious voice. He thinks all of it is a dream and plays along, but realizes too late that it isn't the case. Let's begin. It was a long, drawn out night. Mason often daydreamed on the job. It got him in trouble more than once. He felt like the world was a shitty place. Every time he would look at his phone, envy and a longing for real connection festered inside his mind, until one day changed everything. He clocked out of his workplace and walked straight to the bus stop while looking at his phone. Mason walked across the street when suddenly a car hit him. Mason felt his life force leave him slowly as everything faded to black. Hello there. I'm here to interview you. The voice rang out with a perversely cheery tone. Mason, thinking this was all a dream, played along and said, Of course. Hee hee, you're more cooperative than most I have interviewed. Let's get started. On the first question, are you a boy or girl? Mason replied sarcastically, Yeah, you're looking at a girl. Next question. What is your view on life? Mason sighed, then replied, My view on life can be summed up in two words. Worst ever. The voice replies, These are the only questions I have time for. Sorry to cut this short. As compensation for the sudden interruption, you will be the legendary Pokemon Celebi. Congratulations! Mason replies extremely shocked. Wait, I don't even like Pokemon. Those are. Mason was cut off and suddenly drifted out of consciousness again. Mason woke up slowly, getting her bearings. She saw weird tubes and Pokemon of all different kinds. Mason wanted to believe she was dreaming, but it felt so real. Suddenly, what looked like a human in a black trench coat approached. Listen, my name is unimportant, but you can call me Emperor. You are here because a Celebi is required for my legendary Pokemon collection. Mason looked at the Emperor and said, Are you the voice I heard? The Emperor replied, No. But, hi there, official CVR. But it is an adversary of mine. Anyways, is your name Mason, correct? Mason replied, How do you know? The Emperor laughs. Because I speak different languages, including Pokemon and the mind itself. Mason spits on the Emperor. I am not a Pokemon! Oh, I'm reading Her Name. It's a fan fiction I created. It's a fan fiction I created. It's on fanfiction.net. A left-handed slap hits Celebi's cheek as the Emperor wipes his face with his right hand. Ah, don't do that again, or you will regret it. As the Emperor utters these words, he puts his hand on Celebi's forehead and she blacks out again. The systems in the Emperor's lair go off. Red alert! Red alert! Scream the sirens as several strange-looking figures in white cloaks breach the location. The Emperor, watching everything unfold from afar, says, Everything's going according to plan. Battling through strange-looking droids, the white cloaks used energy powers emanating from their hands. Reinforcements appear with energy shields bouncing off any further attempts to dismantle the rest of the droids. We can't handle them all, said one of the white cloaked figures. One figure commanded the rest. Search for Celebi. This is a rescue operation. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you liking it. They break through the center of the lab and see an unconscious Celebi. What about the other Pokemon here? Asked one of the other cloaked members. Our orders are to search for Celebi and retrieve her. Every other creature here is expendable. The leader of the white cloaks goes in and retrieves Celebi when suddenly he is hit by a punch through the chest. The Emperor said, smiling, "You really think it would be that easy?" The white cloaks, oh, sorry. The white cloaks use a gas to obscure their movements. It's me, I'm a Pokemon. That's funny. They vanished along with the Celebi. The Emperor walks up to the computer that Michaela was hooked up to. He sees the glaring screen with the words upload complete. The Emperor smirks. Michaela finally awoke, getting her bearings. As she looked around, she witnessed ancient carvings of ancient origins. Where am I? She felt her head. It was pounding. All that was on her mind was obliteration protocol. Before she could ponder, where is this on like another phone? It's actually on my iPad. I have it on my iPad. See? No. Before she could ponder any further, a man in a gold white robe walked in. Ah, you're awake. Good. My name is Daniel. You have been chosen by the Great Voice. I won't join a war. I want to return to my world, Michaela said with certainty in her voice. Daniel gestured her to look up upon the ancient carvings. I'm afraid none of us have a choice in the matter. The Emperor is on the hunt for you. Michaela replied, No, I refuse. Daniel replies with a sigh, How about this? Take my apprentice, Regal. Perhaps he will convince you. And by the way, everyone, thank you for listening to this story. I really appreciate it. How long is this gonna take? It's like about 4,000 words. It shouldn't take that long. Why? Let's see. Daniel, how long did did to make? It took a while. Like, I mean, I really had to let my ideas, flow. So it did take a while. But this is just the first story. I have the second one. It's called The Infinity Dilemma. How long did this take to make it? Yeah. So it took, I think, about a couple weeks, maybe more. But like I said, I have a sequel called The Infinity Dilemma. But that's a sequel to this one. Let's see. Regal steps out of the shadows, standing beside Daniel. I overheard everything. This coward is not worth convincing. Mikhail looks upon Regal unamused. I don't need a babysitter. Daniel replies, chuckling. You're a Selby that doesn't know the first thing about your powers. Pretty sure for now you will be best protected by Regal. Both Regal and Michaela reluctantly agree for now. So what is your story? Asked Michaela. I don't have a story, said Regal with his teeth gritted. Whatever. Where are we going? Asked Michaela in a dismissive tone. Since you don't know the first thing about your powers, you will be riding on my shoulder, said Regal, sighing, reaching out his arms to pick the Celebi up. Be careful, said Michaela. Oh, brother, this is going to be quite the trip, Regal said, looking unamused. Regal swiftly runs, paying no mind to the little extra weight on his right shoulder. Whee! Exclaimed Michaela. Regal rolled his eyes as fast as he could. They are heading towards a nearby village, High Moon Village. An hour before Regal and Michaela departs, a couple trainers approach the Emperor and kneel before him. Your Greatness, we have acquired more legendary Pokemon for your work. So what else do I do on your channel? So besides reading, I work out. Let's see. I work out, reading. Sometimes I like give updates on how I'm doing and stuff, and I try to be an inspiration to people. So that's what I do. And I also do cat videos too, and dog videos as well. More ambitious trainers flock to your cause, said one of the trainers wearing a red insignia on both his shoulders, with the infinity symbol eating itself. Very good. Oh, thank you. And you're cool too, and you're awesome, and I like that you're sticking around. The other trainer looking in. Oh, very good. You were promised a reward, were you not? The Emperor asked. The other trainer, looking impatient, replied, Yeah, you were going to share in your ultimate power. We have, through hard work, dedication, and decisive action, captured you legendary Pokemon for whatever purposes you have yet to explain. Where are you from? The Emperor asked the impatient trainer. You're welcome. I'm from High Moon Village, replied the impatient trainer. For your impatience, I will not be sharing my power with you. However, I grant you the next best thing. The Emperor lifted his hand slowly and shot a pulse of purple aura into the impatient trainer. The impatient trainer slowly begins to transform into Shadow Lugia. The Emperor walks up to the impatient trainer and whispers into his ear before he completely transforms. Go forth and lay waste to the village of your origin. Completing his transformation, Shadow Lugia takes flight towards High Moon Village. The Emperor replies with a smile, Anything else? He says this looking towards the remaining trainer. The remaining trainer replies, I am your servant. The Emperor says, I have a different mission in mind for you. Say these words. Obliteration, protocol. To Michaela de Celebi. The trainer salutes, then goes forth to do the Emperor's will. Hi there, Gary Giz. How are you? Oh, just to catch up, I'm reading a fan fiction I made called, for a Pokemon fan fiction I named called Her Name. And there's a sequel called The Infinity Dilemma. It's on fanfiction.net. My name on there is Crazy7. CRAZEE7. I'm doing great. How are you? The Emperor says I've there oh, I reread that. The trainer salutes and goes forth to do the Emperor's will. Michaela and Regal stop by at an inn. Regal sets down Michaela and gives her some berries. Michaela looks confused, but her hunger takes over as she munches on the berries, like she has not been eaten for days. Regal looks puzzled. So the Emperor didn't even give you a good meal? Michaela replies, having finished the berries, Why would he? Why would anyone? Regal looks at Michaela curiously. So where are you from? You say this isn't your fight. Michaela looks down and says, I'm from Earth. It would be a great anime. Yeah, I agree. That's one of the reasons why I wrote it. Michaela looks down and says, I'm from Earth, though I don't remember much. I was a girl, though that memory doesn't feel right. Regal continues, so you're basically a human, but if no one cared for you, then why would you ever want to return? Michaela looks puzzled and replies, let me ask you something. Would you want to be far away from home in an alien body in an alien place? Regal's expression turns a little sad. I have no home. I was very young when the Order of Light found me. If it wasn't for them, I'd be discarded. I barely remember anything. But, oh, thank you. Um, Barely remember anything, but I was meant for something greater. Something happened, and I fell from grace and was cast out. Michaela said, we should probably call it a night. Though you are not allowed to snuggle me. Oh, thank you. You are not allowed to snuggle with me like some inanimate plush, Michaela said with sternness. Regal gasped, I wasn't thinking of doing that. His eyes darted back and forth. Michaela rolls her eyes and Regal pays for the stay at the inn, as they both sleep in separate beds. Morning arose, and Regal, with Michaela on his shoulder, rushed towards the direction of High Moon Village. Regal smelled a strange and repulsive smell. He thought to himself, something isn't right. When Regal arrived, he fell to his knees, the shock and horror on Regal's face as he witnessed the destruction of another village. Tears of rage start forming in his eyes. I was too late to save another village, Regal said somberly. Michaela noticed the shift in mood. Attempts to comfort him. It wasn't your fault, she says, trying to help. Regal finally lets it all out. Easy words from a coward. You don't even want to fight. You don't even care. You just want to sit out this war. You are supposed to be the legendary Pokemon Celebi. But all I see is. He stops himself, noticing Michaela looking shaken up. This isn't my world, Regal. I don't want to fight a war. That isn't any of my business. Regal replies, I think this is where our paths diverge. At this point, I hope you find your way back to your world. I should have never expected anything more. He gently puts Michaela down and walks away. Michaela attempts to levitate, and at first it works, but then she flies uncontrollably into a tree. An elderly man appears out of nowhere, and looks at Michaela unbeknownst to the young Celebi. So you are the one who has escaped death. The one who refuses to join the fight against the Emperor, said the elderly man. Michaela Michaela replies, holding her head, it isn't my fight. I just want to go home. Let me tell you what I've learned. If the Emperor is not stopped, he will invade Earth, the elderly man said in a slightly sad tone. How do you know about Earth? Who are you? Michaela demanded answers. The elderly man stretched out his hand on McCeleby's forehead, and a white glow heals her of her injury, but something else happens. Your name is not Michaela, it is Mason, and you were granted a second chance at life. One I hope you won't throw away. You wanted adventure? You wanted to escape your mundane existence? Now you have a chance to show the Emperor what you are made of. Regal is the key to the Emperor's demise. Go forth and tend to him. The elder then vanished. Michaela searched for the elder, but he was gone. With a renewed sense of what needed to be done, she pressed on to seek out Regal. Regal presses on deeper into the wilderness. Suddenly, Shadow Lugia appears and slaps Regal with one of its wings. Ah! Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Regal screamed out in pain. Michaela heard this from a distance, but then suddenly the words obliteration protocol were uttered, turning Michaela's mind over to one of the Emperor's elite trainers. Michaela, in a trance like state, levitates up. Listen up. Locate Shadow Lugia and send him to his doom, said the elite trainer. Michaela wasted no time obeying and swiftly flew towards the roars of Shadow Lugia. Regal is attempting to evade getting stomped when suddenly Michaela blasts Shadow Lugia with a solar beam. Regal looks up at Michaela and puts the pieces together, thinking on his feet. This isn't the Michaela I'm used to dealing with, he muttered. Shadow Lugia recoils, preparing a shadow blast. Firing the shadow blast, Michaela dodges. Regal looks upon the blast as it's heading towards him. He braces himself. This is it. Time to embrace fate. However, when Regal opens his eyes, he witnesses Michaela laying on the grass. Michaela broke free of the trance at the last second and put herself in between the blast and Regal. Regal cradles Michaela in his arms. This wasn't your fight! You told me this wasn't your war! Michaela warily says, I, I know, but I couldn't let someone die. I'm sorry. With that, Michaela breathes her last. Regal looks furious as he says 4 words. Not one more death. He pulls out a trick he thought he'd never have to use again. A thick aura surrounds himself as he stretches his hand towards Shadow Lugia. You will do as I command to atone for your actions. Now! Obey! Shadow Lugia attempts to resist but to no avail. It lends itself towards Regal. He hops on top of Shadow Lugia and takes flight. The Emperor hears the news from his elite trainer. I expect your full wrath for the death of Celebi and the loss of Shadow Lugia, said the elite trainer. Instead, the Emperor smiles. You accomplished your mission regardless of how things went. I already have a team that retrieved a piece of Celebi DNA. The plans remain unchanged. Now, I have one final mission for you. The elite trainer saluted. Michaela finds herself in a sea of strange water. What happened? What is this? As she said these words, her words echoed back. The water suddenly turns from glistening crystal to darker and tainted, as a shadowy entity emerges out of the tainted crystal water. Mason, this time, no one is here to intervene. You are mine. The demonic voice screeched and devoured her soul. There was no chance she would have escaped. Mason's face looked in absolute horror and sorrow. Her last words were, I'm sorry. Shadow Lugia arrived outside an abandoned lab. Regal jumps off and says, Stay here till I return. Shadow Lugia nodded in response. Regal walks carefully into the entrance of the abandoned lab. Scanning the area, Regal notices a safe in the distance. Approaching the safe, he examines the outside and notices a voice box. It must require a voice activation, said Regal. Suddenly, the safe lights up. Voice recognized. Welcome back, Emperor. Regal looked on with shock. He knew he wasn't the Emperor. This was all getting very strange. Inside the safe was a journal, and with a red infinity symbol eating itself. Most of the journal was written in a language that could not be understood. But perusing through its contents, Regal found the later entries readable to his eyes. It said, "The Infinity Empire I created is long since a memory. How could I have let this happen? In my greed and stupidity, I chased after ultimate power. The price was catastrophic. My daughter, Cornelia, my blood was extinguished. This is unacceptable." Victory soon turned to ashes in my mouth. Noticing nothing satisfied me anymore. I searched for a way to bring my beloved daughter back. Then I discovered a world with these strange creatures called Pokemon. I arrived in some kind of ruin. It revealed to me a way to bring back my daughter. If the blood of legends is sacrifice mixed in with my blood, could bring my daughter back alive. I would do anything for my daughter, anything for my little princess. Regal's reaction was mixed as he put the journal back in its safe. Out of nowhere, the elite trainer appeared. "My name is Damon, and you are about to become the new Celebi." Like hell, Regal gets into battle position. "The Emperor has prohibited me from using Pokemon as a show of loyalty. That being said, yeah, I look forward to bringing you in your soon to be formed new form to him," said Damon, looking smug. "You know the Emperor will probably betray you, right?" "I mean, he doesn't exactly scream trust and sanity," replies Regal. "You know, I have to ask how Michaela overcame the obliteration protocol," asked Damon. Um, Regal, clenching his fist, replied, "You did that. Well, good to know. Time is up, and you have just signed your doom." With with a snap of his fingers, Shadow Lugia bust open the entire roof of the abandoned lab. Damon attempts to retreat, but Regal quickly orders Shadow Lugia to stomp him. Shadow Lugia stomps Damon as he screams out in pain. Regal says, getting on Shadow Lugia's back, "Take flight." Daniel and the Order of Light mobilize their defenses, as a lone scout alerts them of the Emperor's trainers. Daniel speaks up, "Fellow members of the Order of Light, today these trainers disgrace themselves by using their Pokemon as tools." A cataclysmic fight breaks out between the Order of Light and their Pokemon and the Elite Trainer and their Pokemon. Leading the battle was a trainer known only as Zero. He wore a black helmet with gold trimmings. Zero gave commands to the Emperor's elite trainers. This was no mere battle. This was a coordinated attack. "We serve the ultimate power. Now go forth and send this order to their doom," Zero commanded with confidence and grace. This battle was going in Zero's favor until Daniel snuck behind enemy lines and stabbed Zero through the arm. Zero held his arm in pain. He backs away, commanding his Wheezing to use a smoke screen as he escapes the battlefield. The Emperor sees the battle unfold in real time. "Poor Zero. I'm almost done. I'm almost done streaming." "How unfortunate," Emperor said. With a hint of boredom, he stretched out his hand and used its purple aura, focusing on Zero from a distance as he turns him into a dark Mew. Zero blacks out. Moments later, the Emperor approaches his dying elite trainer Damon and shakes his head. "I'm sorry to do this to you. Sacrifices must be made and for my little princess I will do anything." He injects Damon in the shoulder and picks him up. The Emperor teleports. I think the max amount of people in this stream was two, but I've had more people. It just depends on the day. Shadow Lugia arrived at a strange island and landed. Regal disembarks and says, "You are free." The Shadow Lugia looks at Regal and takes flight. Deep in the forest, Regal treads until he meets face to face with the Emperor. "Why did your journal identify me as you?" said Regal with an exhausted expression on his face. "Because you are a part of me. You were created in case somehow my life was extinguished." "I am nothing like you," shouted Regal. "You put my elite trainer Damon near the edge of death. That is a very me thing to do. Face it, soon you will be me," replied the Emperor. "Is there a cure?" asked Regal. "No, there isn't," the Emperor said. Regal looked angry. He walked up to the Emperor with all his might and punched him in the face. The Emperor recoiled, not expecting this. He wiped the blood off his face. "Blood?" the Emperor said, recoiled in shock. "No one has been able to draw blood from me for thousands of years." The Emperor then smiles and says, "I'm taking you with me to witness the great sacrifice." He knocks out Regal swiftly with his hand. I'm almost done. Regal eventually wakes up. Getting his bearings, he witnesses a place familiar to him. It was the sanctuary of the Order of Light, his order. Regal, chained to his spot, speaks up. "Emperor? Where are you? What have you done with our order?" Emperor appears. "So you're finally awake. Unfortunately, your white cloaked friends were no match for the ultimate power." Regal hisses, "You'll pay for this." The Emperor replies, "Maybe, but I have something to show you." At the snap of his fingers, several legendary Pokemon of all kinds appear. Am I able to donate? Not yet, I don't think. Um, I don't have that set up. Let's see. Breaks and chains. I'm sorry. This is my collection. Okay, so all the legendary Pokemon of all kinds appear with a purple glow in their eyes. This is my collection. Ah, what a fine collection they'd make. Sadly, I'll have to sacrifice them. Oh well, Emperor says, pulling out the infinity dagger from his pocket. Suddenly, a great wind brews all around the ruins. Shadow Lugia appears and breaks the chains of Regal. Regal says, "Your sins cannot be forgiven, Emperor." The Emperor replies, "This changes nothing." He lunges at Regal. Regal and Emperor lock into a fist fight. Shadow Lugia roars, distracting the Emperor. Regal grabs the Infinity Dagger and holds it at the Emperor's throat. The Emperor says, "Do it!" Regal replies, "No, I will not be like you." He drops the dagger at Emperor's feet. "If you are the ultimate power, then sacrifice yourself. Leave these legendaries out of it. After all, no one will forgive you. No one will miss you. Whatever you decide, I am done. A wise Pokemon once told me this is not my war. Not anymore." Regal walks away, climbing on Shadow Lugia. The Emperor looks down at the dagger. "I'm sorry." As Shadow Lugia flies away from the ruins, a shockwave happens. A couple years later, Regal spends his time secluded in the mountains with Damon the Celebi and Shadow Lugia. Suddenly, a woman in a crimson red dress with long, beautiful blonde hair approaches. "Are you Regal?" the mysterious woman inquired. "I am, and you are?" Regal asked. Her expression changed when he answered, "My name is Cornelia, Empress of the Infinity Empire, and you are under arrest for high regicide." As she says this, a bunch of ships appear out of the skies. The end. And that's it. That's the end of the story. The first part. I'm glad you all stuck around. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good one. Thank you so much for sticking around.